everybody, let's have some fun. You only live but once, but when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Don't care whether you're young or old. I'll let the good times roll.
Mafia is an interesting series, one of the best linear storytelling series in my opinion, and I got into the franchise around when Mafia II came out, and I've been hooked ever since. I probably love these games because I love that like mobster style, those mafia stories. I grew up watching movies like, The Godfather, Scarface, Goodfellas. There's not enough of these games though, to my knowledge at least. There's only really this and the Godfather game series, another series I hope to talk about on this channel. Super underrated if you ask me, but that's not what we're here for. Today, I wanted to rank the Mafia franchise. There's sadly only 3 in this series technically, but I'm gonna count the original Mafia and the definitive edition of Mafia as 2 separate games, as they kind of feel like it, just with a similar story. So with that being said, possible spoilers ahead for the whole series just in case, but anyways, let's get into it. At dead last is going to be the original Mafia from 2002. Not that it's necessarily a bad game, it's just dated. The story is still fire, but graphically and mechanically, it's not an easy game to come back to be honest. And I've only ever played and finished the game maybe twice, I think? It's been a minute, plus I didn't grow up on it, but not a bad game by any means, following Tommy Angelo, once a straight kinda cab driver turned into a mobster. The story is very grim at times, but very good. It feels very real. It was meant to be played as a playable movie, and it really feels like it. Set in the 1930s in the fictional setting of Lost Heaven, it's a decent map. I mean, there's nothing crazy as the story is linear, so the map doesn't really have anything to it. And the gameplay, while old, I will say was pretty cool for the time, at least. The realistic features, like if you reloaded a gun that hasn't fully run out of ammo, you drop whatever's in the clip, making people like myself who reload every chance I get, Call of Duty thing maybe, put some discipline on us and makes us think before acting, or the fact that you have to follow the speed limit, stuff like that. Stuff that, kind of grounds you to the world, and for 2002, it was pretty cool, but again, compared to the others, it's just not a game I'd come back to as often, so while it's not a bad game, it's at the back of the list. Coming in at number 3 is Mafia III, following Lincoln Clay, former Vietnam vet, on a revenge mission to avenge his foster family. This game feels great. When it works, it feels really good. Lots of bugs when this game came out, but since then, the game plays pretty well. The shooting feels really nice, and the driving is great. I think probably the best in the series, at least. And the story has ups and downs. It's really the fact that they wanted this to be an open world game that kind of fucked a lot of things up. While I don't mind a lot of the stuff to do, it's a little repetitive and annoying at times, but the story is great and has a very satisfying ending, even bringing back a legendary character, which was awesome. All in all, even with this being probably the most hated Mafia, I thought it was pretty fun for the time, and I mean, I didn't think we'd have to wait, up being in 2024 without Mafia 4, but here we are. Still a good game, and I don't mind coming back to this one once in a while. The gameplay is fun, and even though a lot of the soundtrack got cut after a couple years because of licensing issues and stuff, it still has a pretty kick-ass soundtrack. I love late 60s and early 70s rock, and it fits the game very well. And the map itself of New Bordeaux, it's nothing perfect, but it's a pretty decent map, especially more of the downtown areas. I mean, it gets a little boring in the swampy areas. They could have done more, but what's there is good. And all in all, I like it. I don't see why it gets all the hate it does. Coming in at number 2 is Mafia the Definitive Edition, a remake of the original, done right, in my opinion, and while I would have preferred a Mafia 4, I do really like this remake. The story's not too different from the original. It is reanimated, the story's tweaked a little bit, and a whole new voice cast. But the new cast, everybody does a great job here, bringing the late 20s and 30s kind of vibe to life. It's a small game in scale. Again, the city of Lost Heaven doesn't have a lot of stuff to explore, but with the story, it's a fun journey to go on nonetheless. Using a lot of its gameplay mechanics from 3, it feels and looks great, and it's what I look for when developers are remaking a game. So if you wanted to play the original Mafia, but you don't have a PS2 or you don't have a PC, this is probably your best bet. It's a easier experience too, you can put on classic mode if you're nasty, but I know your ass is going to change that difficulty when it comes to that infamous race that I actually didn't bring up with the original Mafia. If you know, you know. But other than that, I highly recommend this title, especially if you haven't played it yet. A story you gotta see, and it's one of my favorite mobster stories in general, and without spoiling anything, It's a dark story. A lot of these Mafia games are. I'll say the first two are definitely probably some of the darkest. And for me, it's number 2. So at number 1, as if there was any doubt, it's Mafia II, one of my favorite games of all time, especially when it comes to story. This 2010 banger was one of the best games I played at the time. Deep and dark, great storytelling with realistic features following our boy Vito, one of my favorite characters in gaming. I mean, he's on the list, at least. There's a lot of great characters in gaming, don't come at me. But following our boy Vito coming back from serving in World War II to do the same shit that got him there in the first place, getting involved with some of the biggest names of the game in Empire City, the fictional world that we live in, taking inspiration from New York City, I'm pretty sure. We go on this years-long journey with Vito, starting in the early 40s, mid-40s, and ending in the early 50s. The music, the atmosphere, just capture this place in time so well, especially the first couple chapters that take place in the winter. I love this game so much. The gameplay, while not always the best, it still holds up pretty well, even today. The driving feels good, and the shooting has a lot of weight to it. It's pretty nice. But of course, it's the story that ties it all together. Every character you meet seems unique, and it feels like once upon a time this could have happened. Obviously, it's exaggerated, but it still feels pretty grounded. And this game is a huge part of my childhood, so maybe I have rose-tinted glasses, but even if so, for whatever reason, if you haven't played this gem yet, treat yourself. You have to give it a try. Just don't buy the remaster or the definitive edition. It doesn't really do much except ruin some of the quality of the graphics at times. And at times it can look great, but the original, it's probably your better bet. And for the time it came out, it still looks pretty great. I cannot recommend this game enough. This is my favorite mobster type game easily. It's easily in my top 10, and it's my number 1 for this list. But of course, that's just my list, and I would love to know yours in the comments below. What's your favorite Mafia game or favorite memory from Mafia? Let me know in the comments below, and if you made it this far in the video, I just wanted to say you're awesome. And thank you so much for giving me some of your time. And if you liked what you saw and want to see more, do the thing. You know what thing I'm talking about. But that's all I got for you today. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe to see more stuff that I have done. But anyways, thanks for coming, and thanks for watching.
This wasn't how I imagined it when we were starting out. I dreamed of money, cars, women, respect, freedom. I guess I ended up getting all that, more or less. But along with it came prison, living in constant fear, and the blood of my friends. I ducked it as long as I could, but it was finally catching up with me. It was all just a matter of time.